Tuesday. Show Me the Money Club live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And we are all over, including their podcast, which you can get the following day. But if you want the live chat and live reaction and everything, and if you want to ask us questions, you got to be here Tuesday at 6 or 3, just depend, and then wherever you are in the world. So you just got to figure that out. Sergio, how you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, bro. Excellent.
Awesome.
It's gonna be fireworks today. Trust me.
Bonnie, new member. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Already. So yeah, we got a great show for you guys. We got quite a bit to talk about. We have a guest coming on in just a few moments. So let me get right into the rundown. We got a great show for you. So first, we're going to have our guest coming on. As I said, after that, we are going to be talking about something that I came across and posted on X, which is more algorithmic wage discrimination continuing with Uber and Lyft. This one's going to be kind of different because it's not two different drivers, but it's two different rides paying different prices for the same pickup and drop off. So we're going to be talking about that. We also have Uber and Lyft cut upfront fare when the trip is shorter, but it doesn't do anything when it's longer. So what's going on there? We're going to be talking about Uber's removing green from some driver preferences and moving the goalposts on green, as well as their sneaky little language of changing from all electric fleet from 2030 to 2040. We're also going to be talking about how Lyft is using Common Core math in order to sell their 70/30. And we're going to coin it as Common Core math, Lyft math, because unless we come up with something better or hear something better, Cory may have something, our guest, so we may have to use that, but we got some crazy fuzzy math. We also are going to be talking about Uber giving warnings of distracted driving when they're the worst offender of them all. And then we're going to be talking about DoorDash's massive problem with illegal accounts. What's going on there? I already saw somebody in the comments talking about how illegal accounts are a huge problem in their city. So very unfortunate. We're going to be talking about that. Tragic story of Rideshare and a scammer. Somebody getting scammed. Talking about that. Very unfortunate story. And kind of takes two of my echelons, I guess, with Rideshare and calling scammers and kind of mixes them into one. Very tragic story, though. But we're going to kind of cover that. And then we're also going to end the show on some funnies, especially after a unfortunate story. So we definitely want to talk about that. But before we get started, we do want to talk about a couple of announcements. If you speak Spanish or your primary language is Spanish, we have RSG en Español now. So if you want to be able to listen in Spanish a little bit better, you can hear us talking in Español. And a couple of other videos that are out there. Link is going to be in the description below, so you can go there. You can subscribe and watch. Or if you're English speaking and you just want to hear us and kind of do like the Godzilla thing when it comes to Spanish dubbing. But I got to say, the voice sound is pretty accurate when it comes to like you or me or, you know, anybody else that's on there. So that's pretty cool. Go ahead.
Scary accurate, the voice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I just heard that Adobe, because I use Adobe Premiere Pro and the Adobe Suite, they're investing heavily in AI, and that's one of the things they're doing too. So it's going to be pretty unique. And they're doing lip sync. So instead of it looking like Godzilla, it'll look like we're actually speaking Spanish. That's going to be the crazy part, or Chinese, or whatever language we want to set it to. So it's pretty crazy. Also, if you like to support the channel and beyond just hitting that like button, so make sure you do right now, smash that like button if you wouldn't mind kindly doing that. But the memberships, if you'd like to become a member, support the channel, we have a couple of different tiers where you can support the channel and help us make better content for everybody who is here. Also, make sure to sign up for our RSG newsletter. Link is going to be in the description as well. It's free. You get a lot of great content. Sergio writes for it. And, you know, Sergio, speaking of writing and some of the things that you're doing, I think you have a little bit of an announcement that you want to share with our audience.
You know what? But let's do that after we bring our guest on and he's left. And then let's just make sure that people are into it, because I'm like super excited to have our guest on today. You know, he's amazing. But yeah, if we're done with the intro, buddy, let's bring him on because we need a lot of bashing to do.
Well, we have a special guest, Cory Doctorow, coming on right now. Cory, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? Very well, thanks.
Hey,
Thank you for
Cory, how
coming
are
on.
you? Huge fan of Cory. Seriously, I am like a huge fan, but much appreciated, by the way, you sparing us some time
Oh, it's
out of your
absolutely my
busy
pleasure.
schedule. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to get right into it. I mean, look, I've pretty much read everything. FYI, group, I don't know, there's like a couple hundred of you here, but there'll be more of you later. His bio, his site, or anything you guys need about Cory is in the show notes. Please go check it out. Not only Cory is an award-winning author. I know, how many books have you written so far, Cory?
A couple of dozen at this point.
Couple dozen. Okay, he's an economist as well, so he knows. Yeah, no, you don't know
No,
economics. You know a little bit of
I
economics.
know a lot about economics. I am not an
You're not
economist.
an
I
economist.
dropped out
Okay,
of
I
4
read somewhere
undergraduate
that you
programs and never got a degree, so I'm a
are.
nothing.
Okay, all right, cool. But so Cory came up with this word that we have actually used previously without his permission on our show. Cory came up with this word called enshittification. All right, and about regarding, well, American Dialect Society picked enshittification as the word of 2023. People, okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means, how it applies to us as rideshare drivers or gig workers. And he's written an amazing article. Actually, one of his books is named Bezel. We're going to talk about the Uber bezel, why Uber is a bezel. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this Lyft fuzzy math, because in the green room, we kind of explained to him what it is. He says he has a word for it. So we can't wait to hear it. So Cory, introduce yourself, and let's get it going.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Cory Doctorow. I work for a nonprofit called the Electronic Frontier Foundation, where we work on digital rights, including digital workers' rights. And I've worked there for more than 25 years in lots of different capacities. I was our UN delegate and I was the European director. So I worked in Westminster in the British Parliament and in Brussels in the European Parliament. I write lots of books. And as you heard, last year I coined this term enshittification. It did big numbers. I think it means that I'm now doomed to get a poop emoji on my headstone someday. And enshittification, it tries to answer the question, like, how is it that the platforms that really make up the internet are all going so bad so quickly? Right? Everything that we use is just all turning to rot all at once. Ed Zitron calls it the rot economy. So enshittification kind of posits this as like a disease, like a malaise. And as we all know, having lived through the COVID pandemic, a disease, there's three ways of talking about it. One is the symptoms, right? So what it looks like from the outside. One is the mechanism. It's what's going on inside the body when it has the disease. And the third is the contagion, right? How does it spread? Why is it happening now? And so enshittification symptoms, I think, would be pretty familiar to a lot of us, right? It's when you have a platform that is very good at first to its end users. So platforms are these, they're called like two-sided markets. They've got businesses on one side and customers on the other, or end users on the other, and the market sits between them. So like eBay sits between people selling, Pez dispensers and people buying Pez dispensers, and Uber sits between drivers and riders, and Amazon between like merchants and buyers, and so on. So you have these platforms, and they at first are very good to their end users. So I'll give you an example. When Facebook kicked off, originally it was just for college kids. Actually, Mark Zuckerberg founded it so that he and his creepy friends could non-consensually rate the fuckability of their fellow Harvard undergraduates, and it got worse after that. So in 2006, they said, okay, we're going to open this to the general public. You don't have to have a .edu American college address. We're just going to open this up to the general public. So they said, hey, all of you using the internet, you're already on social media, but you're all using this platform called MySpace. And you might like MySpace, but maybe you haven't considered that it's owned by this evil, crapulent, senescent Australian billionaire who spies on you with every hour that God sends, named Rupert Murdoch. And if you come to Facebook, we're going to give you a really square deal. On Facebook, we will never, ever spy on you. That is the Facebook value proposition. We are like MySpace, but we'll never spy on you. So show up to Facebook, tell us what it is that matters to you, right? Tell us who you like and who you want to hear from. And then anytime those people post something that they want other people to read, we're just going to show it to you. So Facebook has what economists call like a surplus, right? That's just like they've got some stuff that they can use. They don't have to spend it on rent or on salaries. They've got money left over. and they're spending it on their end users. They're making things good for their end users. So all tech platforms do this as a way to start their growth, right? They make a good offer to their end users. And by the way, jump in and stop, because I can talk about this.
No. I'm
my-
actually, Facebook is a good start when it comes to
Okay, sure.
certification, right?
Yeah.
Because and then you can give us a little bit like more on Facebook, but then I really want to actually talk to you about Uber,
I'll get
because
to
like
Uber.
Uber is a platform, as we all know, and you correctly said, two-sided marketplace, right?
Yeah, indeed. So like Uber, well, let's talk a little about different lock-in strategies here. So like, how does Facebook locks users in by getting those users to just hang out together such that it would be really hard to all agree on when it's time to leave. This is something economists call the collective action problem. So like you and your friends, and there's like 6 of you in a group chat, and you can't even agree on like where to go for dinner on Friday. Whereas if there's like 200 of you on Facebook, and some of you are there because you like moved from another country and it's how you stay in touch with a family back home, and some of you are there because you got like a rare disease and this is where your support group is, some of you are there because that's where like your kid's little league game organizes the carpool. It's really hard for like all 200 of you to organize to leave. So even though you hate Facebook, you're hanging out on Facebook. That's Facebook lock-in. There's other kinds of lock-in. Amazon wants to sell you a year's worth of shipping in advance, so that anytime you buy something from someone else, you feel like a sucker because you already paid for the shipping on Amazon. And Uber, they had a different idea, right? They took like $33 billion from the Saudi royal family, laundered it through Masayoshi's son in a venture capital fund called SoftBank, and then lost 41 cents on every dollar that they brought in for 13 years. While public transit got like starved of investment, because why would you invest in public transit when Uber is so cheap? And medallion taxis all went into business, and so there's just like no way to get around except for Uber. And so that's the way you lock in Uber customers.
While we're at Uber, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I have read, like I said, I've read pretty much everything you've
Yeah,
written. I mean, it's public info. You have said Uber will never be profitable, right?
Yeah. So
so the last 2 quarters, supposedly they have turned profitable, and we as drivers, we know why. Okay, they have these wonderful, amazing algorithms, right? They on one side of the market, they can charge as much as they can with elasticity, obviously, and then on the other end, they have lowered the fares to the point that we're like giving rides to humans for like $3 now, literally, no joke. I mean, we talk about it all the time. So do you think they truly have turned profitable at this point, or they're just kind of smoking some crack pipe?
Yeah, they're realizing all these like one-time gains. Like they're saying things like, oh, well, there's like an Uber-like company in China, and we tried to do a business in China, and we couldn't make a living at it. So we sold our shares in a stock swap with this Uber-like company in China. So now we own all these illiquid shares in, Didi, right? They're not traded on the market. No one knows what they're worth. But we're going to assign a value to them. Right. And so we say these shares are now worth $1 bazillion. And then we go, oh, look, we made some gains this quarter because the shares, the imaginary gains in these shares offset our actual real dollar losses.
Yeah. Well, they do the, mark to mark hocus pocus on every quarter, right? So if the quarter is kind of light, they just kind of move the assets around, or the unrealized gains and losses are created every single quarter. I mean, I have a Wall Street background, so I follow them. Obviously, I listen to their conference calls. But it does seem like after, like you correctly stated, $33 billion losing 41 cents on every dollar, and your enshittification actually is perfect for Uber, because when it first started, it was great for everybody. It was great for I call those days subsidized fantasy land, right? It was great for the riders, great for the drivers, because we made tons of money. And then comes 2019, and then they go public, and then everything changed. Right.
Yeah.
The last 5 years, we're getting starved as drivers, without a question.
So the goal of these companies, irrespective of whether we're talking about Uber or, Boeing, is not just to be like too big to fail. And it's not just to be too big to jail. It's to be too big to care, right? To not have to care if your drivers are angry because they've invested in a car and you're one of 2 or 3 games in town and they don't feel like they can stop driving for you. Your customers have to keep paying the fares because there's few options to get around. And, like that's the dream, I think, of capitalists, is to not be capitalists, but to be feudalists, right? To be feudal lords. A feudal lord doesn't have to care whether the harvest is good or bad. His peasants owe him the rent, right? And so, if you're the landlord of a coffee shop, you don't have to care if the coffee shop is doing well or not. If that coffee shop goes out of business because there's a better coffee shop across the street, that's good for you, right? Now you've got an empty storefront on the same block as a really good coffee shop, and you can rent that out for more than the capitalist who is working in your shop was making. So rents are always better than profits. That's the goal here. So Uber is in this phase of the enshittification cycle where they're good to their customers, right? Good to the end users. They're offering really cheap fares. And then they start to be better to their business customers because they want to lure a lot more drivers into the road. And so you have things like surge pricing. And so surge pricing at the outset, I don't have to tell you, was a way to pay drivers more, but it was also a way to charge customers more. Now, Uber could hypothetically say, okay, on this ride, we're not going to lose 42 cents. We're going to lose 75 cents per dollar. And so we're going to pay the drivers more. We're not going to charge the passengers more. But they're actually like making things slightly worse for the passengers in order to make things better for the drivers. And for the passengers, you now have the situation where like the part of surge pricing that isn't BS is that if you offer drivers more money, more drivers will come out onto the streets. And so they're in times where it's really tough to get a ride, you really can get a ride with Uber. So now they're making things worse for their end users, better for their business customers, but they're locking in the business customers too. And so once those business customers are locked in, so with Facebook, the way that they did this was they said to, the advertisers, hey, do you remember when we told these rubes that we weren't going to spy on them? That was a lie. We're actually spying on them from asshole to appetite. Give us a couple of bucks and we'll target an ad to anyone you want. And because we're such good-natured slobs, we've got this whole building full of engineers, policing ad fraud. So you give us $1 to show an ad to a specific kind of person, and that person's going to see that ad. And so that's being good to the business customers. But once the business customers are locked in, right? So once the drivers are locked in, once the advertisers and publishers are locked into Facebook, once the merchants are locked into Amazon, things get worse for them too. Yeah. And the platform pulls out as much value as they can, not just from end users, but also from business customers. And the idea is to leave behind like this kind of homeopathic residue of value, just enough to keep everyone locked in, but not a penny more. Everything else has to go to the shareholders. And the problem for firms that are pursuing the strategy is that they are in a very what economists would call like a brittle equilibrium, right? Like trying to figure out exactly how much value you need to leave in to keep everyone locked in. It's really hard to predict because you're surfing this edge just between like, I hate this and I can't stop using it, and I hate this and I am going to stop using it. Yeah. And so that happens with drivers all the time. I live in Burbank, which is a little town on the outskirts of LA. And we got a train station that goes down to San Diego. So I write science fiction.
Are you really in Burbank? We're literally like 10 miles apart. I'm 10 miles from Burbank Airport. We definitely got to have lunch now.
Yeah. So, we got a train station. It goes down to San Diego. So like when I go down for like Comic-Con, because I'm a science fiction writer, I speak at Comic-Con, I go down. So I come back from Comic-Con one time, and there's a cab rank there because there's 13 licensed cabs in Burbank. None of them are there. I try to call their dispatch. They're gone. There's sometimes there used to be a bus, but it's a Sunday and the bus service has been dialed down in Burbank because it's so easy to get an Uber. And there's also no Ubers today. There's just nothing. I spent an hour standing on a corner trying to get it. There's just nothing. So that's where the equilibrium breaks, right? Yeah. This is where the whole thing turns into a pile of shit. And the difference between this and say MySpace is that when MySpace became useless, it collapsed. And instead, what we're getting under this kind of enshittified capitalism are these zombie companies that are not good, but are not dead. And they're just kind of shambling along.
So what stage do you think Uber is in? Because look, I mean, I have a relationship with these companies. I know their executives all the way to the CEO level. I've interviewed them, right? So they think everything is great because, they say, look, last year we had only 5 million drivers globally. Today we have 6.5 million drivers. Because if it's so bad, why are so many more people are doing or Ubering or driving for us, right? Well, I have my reasons for it, but I want to hear yours. What do you think?
I think there's broader macroeconomic phenomena, right? Like I just think that I don't think it's like inflation so much as sort of asset inflation or major cost inflation. So rent, education, and healthcare costs have left people so debt burdened, along with the increase in interest rates that has meant that anyone carrying a balance on a credit card suddenly is paying a lot more. Or anyone who had to like roll a loan over is paying a lot more, and people are just taking every hour that they can and trying to squeeze out as many nickels as they can from it. This is like, it's being felt all over. So like I said, I'm a science fiction writer, and science fiction has this old tradition of having these conventions. That's where Comic-Con comes from. And they're run by volunteers for the most part. And so the big one's called the World Science Fiction Convention, or WorldCon, and it's volunteers put together bids to do the next one. And normally there's like 10 years worth of bids kind of in the offing, and everyone knows they're going. There's about 4 right now for the WorldCon, and nothing coming up behind it. Like, we might just never, like, this thing that's been going since the 30s might be done, because no one's got any extra time, right? So because everyone is in such dire straits. So I think that's the, when that's the macroeconomic phenomenon, right? That's the thing that's going on that taps into why drivers are driving at higher rates than they were before, why people are more interested in taking precaritized, casualized labor, is because they're just trying to squeeze in any side hustle they can to grind out another nickel so that their balance doesn't mount on the loans that they can't even pay the interest on, let alone the principal. I think that's
do you think these gig companies, I mean, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, they're the 3 biggies, let's say. Do you think that, I mean, obviously I know, or I'm I've studied these companies for the last 8 years, right? I mean, they have broken pretty much every single law in the country, okay, from local, city, state, federal. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. So what I was going to talk about next was like how enshittification works, and then why it's happening now. And
let's do it.
The breaking the laws is sort of in the why it's happening now. So how does enshittification work? Like, what is it that makes enshittification possible? And it's because these services are digital. And so digital services have a flexibility that physical services do not. You can change the price and the wage and the other business dynamics from moment to moment on a per user basis. So every driver, you talked about algorithmic wage discrimination before. Every driver can get paid.
We've proven it. I mean, I'm sure you know Vina Dubal, right?
That's how I encountered you guys in the first place, was through
at LA Times, right? I mean, actually, Brian Merchant, good friend of ours from LA Times, used to be at LA Times. He said his hello. He was on the show about his book.
I was just on stage with him
and stuff,
in
but he
Rhode
calls
Island.
me his chief Luddite, so I'm like, okay, fine,
I'm a Luddite. That's fine.
There you go.
Being a Luddite is good. So algorithmic wage discrimination is not something that bosses before like didn't dream of, right? Or wouldn't have done if they could, right? Like, you listen to like Tennessee Ernie Ford songs about black-hearted coal bosses in West Virginia. I guarantee you those guys would have done algorithmic wage discrimination if they could have. But you just like, there isn't a room big enough to put enough guys in green eye shades in to do algorithmic wage discrimination with pens and ledgers, right? So it's like, you ever see someone throwing 3-card Monte or doing the cup and balls, right? The thing where they're hiding the P. So if you ever see it slowed down, there's a really good version of this where Penn and Teller slow it down, and they do it with transparent cups. So you can actually see the ball move, right? If you ever see it slowed down, it's not a complicated trick. It's actually a very simple trick. And the thing is that they do it fast. And so something done fast can seem complicated, but it's not. It's the quickness of the hand deceiving the eye here. And so because digital services have the ability to pump value from end users to business customers, from business customers to end users, from end users and business customers to shareholders, and they can do it really quickly back and forth, they're able to play the shell game really fast. Digital services have the fastest hands. So back to Facebook, right? So what Facebook did, not just to lure in business customers, when it was luring them in, it wasn't just advertisers. Also, obviously, it was publishers. And their pitch to publishers was a little like their pitch to advertisers. Like, hey, do you remember we told these suckers we were only going to show them the things that they asked to see? That was also a lie, right? Like if you take like something from your website, like a little excerpt, and then a link back to your own website where you know how to make money from people who come and read it, whatever, you got your own ads, you got subscriptions. We're just going to like non-consensually cram it into the eyeballs of people who never asked to see it as a recommendation, right? And that's a free traffic funnel for you. You can make lots of money. So the publishers pile in, but then Facebook starts to twiddle the knob on the back end. They start to do something that looks an awful lot like algorithmic wage discrimination, where the amount of the article you have to post in order to get it recommended goes up and up and up. So, but then if a publisher goes, wait a second, this is turning into a substitute for visiting my website, not an enticement to visit my website, and they back off from the platform notices, right, just algorithmically, and dips into the supply of things that the publisher's already posted, turns the knob, and that publisher gets like 30 million views. And they're like, oh, wait a second, Facebook's amazing for my business. I'm coming back. Right? This is exactly like algorithmic wage discrimination. And what it's doing is it's pitting the remorseless ability of an algorithm to make tiny adjustments against the clear inability of human beings to be eternally vigilant to notice those tiny adjustments, right? Like you can throw in a fishing line and you can get a fish on the line that's 3 times your weight. But because you can pay the line out and bring it back in and pay the line out and bring it back in, you can tire that fish out, right? The fish is stronger than you. Given some fish I've met and some people I've met, it might be smarter than you, but you can play the game, right? You can play the game and the fish can't. The fish is playing a losing game. So
well, yeah, I mean, that's why we take pride here, right? Because we call it a game, almost like a simulation, rideshare driving or any gig work, right? And if you do not play the game, look, obviously algorithms are faster, as you correctly stated, things happen so much faster. But that's why there is a huge difference between like a 5% bottom driver versus top 5% in the exact same city. That top 5% guy is going to make 2x or 3x of what the bottom 5 is making because he's playing the game correctly.
Right. So put a pin in that because that's coming up in the next section. So the next section is, why are these companies all turning into shit right now? Right. So why isn't shitification happening to Facebook, Amazon, Google, Uber, Lyft? You name the tech platform, they're all doing it right now. And so there's a lot of theories about this. So there was this thing, the zero interest rate policy, right, where government's basically making capital available at effectively for free. Maybe the fact that they turned off that spigot when they cranked up in interest rates is driving companies to be, more profit aware. Or maybe it's because these companies, they were founded by these heroic figures, Travis Kalanick, Larry and Sergey, Jeff Bezos. They were founded by these heroic figures who really cared about the business and making a good product, but they left and they got replaced by these like bloodless bean counters who are just trying to squeeze every nickel out of it. So that's another theory. There's also the theory that maybe Mercury is in retrograde. So I don't think any of these theories are right. So first of all, like, as you point out, Facebook started inshitifying long before the end of zero interest rate policy. And so did Uber. It was the IPO, not the end of ZERP that did it. There are companies that got worse when their founders came back, right? So like Google had this AI panic. Panic is what tech companies, they have a euphemism for it. They call it pivoting. But whenever they get freaked out, they panic and they go, we're going to have a pivot. So AI had this pivot, or Google had this pivot to AI, and Larry and Sergey came back and Google got like much worse very quickly. And, as to Mercury in retrograde, I'm a Cancer. And as everyone knows, Cancers don't believe in astrology. So it can't be that.
Yeah, well, but if you talk about Travis and then the transition to Dara Khosrowshahi, who came as a smoother operator, I mean, I look at him as exactly the same, because first of all, without Travis, there'd be no Uber, without a question, because he had this opinion or idea of, move fast, break things. We don't give a shit about any laws. We're just going to do what we're going to do. And then, he got kicked out, and Dara comes in. He's a smooth operator. He really is, actually. And he is the assassin with a smile. He goes, "Oh, I care about you, but I'm about to stab you in the neck."
Yeah,
I'm going, things, driver pay has gotten so much worse under Dara, right? But then they keep selling it. Oh, everything is wonderful. But
so it may be that his personality helps him sell it, but I don't think that's the cause. So I'm gonna tell you what I think the cause is. What actually changed to make all of these companies get shitty, and it's that companies would like, under the best of circumstances, to pay as little in wages as possible, to pay as little as possible to make their product or service, and to make as much as possible, charge as much as possible for that service. I think that's an uncontroversial statement, but they're constrained as to how they do that, right? So they might face competitors, right? So if they don't pay enough wages, their workers might go somewhere else. If they make a product that costs more or is worse, their customers might go somewhere else. And if they and so they're always sort of looking over their shoulder under normal conditions for competitors. But competition went away, right? So in until the Reagan years, we had this idea that the point of our competition law was to promote competition. And in the Reagan years, this idea called consumer welfare took hold. And it basically says that if you see a monopoly in the wild or like a cartel, what you found isn't evidence that someone is cheating. It's evidence that someone's doing something really right. Like if everybody out there is buying everything from one store and they buy the same thing when they're there, that doesn't mean the store is cheating. That means the store has made the best store that sells the best product. Why would we want the government to come in and Bigfoot the people who did the thing that's best? That's not good for anyone. And so consumer welfareism has been like the dominant theory for 40 years. And what it meant is that we turned a blind eye while companies engaged in conduct that the letter of the law prohibits. So, you mentioned violating things like municipal statutes. These are much bigger laws. Like, so companies historically haven't been able to buy their rivals or snap up nascent companies before they could grow to be rivals. But this is, par for the course. Tim Cook buys 90 companies a year, right? He's bringing home a new company for shareholders more often than you're bringing home a bag of groceries for your family. You think about the string of acquisitions Uber made, companies that might have threatened them that they just snapped up, or Facebook, right? You see Instagram pop up. Users are fleeing Facebook in big numbers. So Mark Zuckerberg buys them up and then very unwisely sends an email to his CFO in the middle of the night, 12:30 at night, saying like, hey, I know you think we're paying too much for this company, but people don't like Facebook anymore and they like Instagram. We got to buy where they're going. As he had said before in a memo, it's always better to buy than to compete. So companies are engaged in this sort of orgy of acquisitions. They become very incestuous, right? And they start to fence out competitors. And where a company doesn't want to sell, they do something else that is very close to the Uber playbook, which is predatory pricing. That's when you sell goods for less than they cost you. That's also illegal, right? Losing 41 cents on the dollar for 13 years is illegal, but we just hadn't enforced the law in 40 years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, look, we do this show for the last 2 years, right? And we have busted them on so many things that to me it looks very illegal, right? I mean, I'm not a legal scholar by any means. However, the fact that the existing FTC or an algorithmic wage discrimination, or we call it shaving. I mean, they offer promotions, but then on one end they offer you, like the shell game that you said, right? They say, oh, we're going to give you $1 if you do an EV trip. If you buy a $50,000 EV and do an EV trip, we're going to give you $1. But while we're giving you the $1, on the other hand, we're going to lower the fare by 20 cents, and you're not even going to feel it, right? Times 2.5 billion trips, that's $500 million a quarter to them. So I'm just kind of shocked that regulators or whoever it may be, that they're not looked into these companies a lot more carefully, because we're looking at it and we're like, here's the proof. Here's our proof. Right?
So I'm going to talk about 3 different kinds of regulation here. So the first one is antitrust law. So this is the first constraint, is how antitrust law used to constrain companies and doesn't anymore. And so that's things like predatory pricing. That's things like anti-competitive acquisitions and mergers, right? So that's stage 1. And when you do that, it sets the stage for the next form of regulatory capture, which is getting into what you're talking about here, which is as the number of companies in a sector goes down, the ability of those companies to, first of all, get lots of profits because they're not engaged in wasteful competition. Peter Thiel is the principal investor in Lyft. He's very famous for saying competition is for losers, right? So they're not engaged in wasteful competition. So they're retaining more of that income rather than spending it on driver wages to keep the drivers loyal, or splitting the difference with the passengers to keep the passengers loyal. Like if you remember, Lily Tomlin used to do this bit on Saturday Night Live where she'd pretend to be a phone operator for AT&T and she'd do ads. And every one of these ads that she would turn to the camera and she would say, "We don't care. We don't have to. We're the phone company." Yeah. Right. So when these companies become big, they don't have to compete and they're able to each retain more earnings. So this is true across the board. But there's another thing that happens when companies don't have to compete, which is that it's easy for them to come to an agreement. So remember how you and your 6 friends in the group chat can't agree on where to go for dinner, and you and your 200 friends can't agree on how to leave Facebook. Well, when there's only 5 companies in a sector, they can totally agree on what to tell Congress, or what to tell a regulator, or what to tell the European Union. And so they're solving this collective action problem. Like you may remember in the early 2000s, there was the Napster wars, right? So you had like these entertainment companies. There's about 7 of them. They're all headquartered within a couple of miles where you and I live here. And then there were a couple of hundred tech companies. And the tech companies in aggregate we're about 100 times larger than those 7 entertainment companies. But the tech companies had no message discipline, because 200 companies can't agree on what to tell Congress. They can't even agree on like where to hold a meeting or how to cater it so that they can discuss what to tell Congress. Any industry that dwindles to like 5 companies, all of those leaders can fit around a single table. And if they can, they will. And so,
well, I mean, in Rideshare, we have 2 companies. That's it. That's all we have.
Right. And not only that,
that's why they can do whatever they want. I mean,
but they've converged also on a set of identical terms. So as a passenger, if I say, okay, I'm going to either book a Lyft or an Uber, the price is the same for both.
Pretty much.
Right. And as a driver, the wage is the same for both. There are minor variations, but in the same way that the duopoly of Apple, Google charges every app vendor the same 30%, right? This is not what we think of as competition. This is a lot more like how your cable company works, where like Charter and Comcast divide up the country like the Pope dividing up the New World. And it's like, we're going to take this territory, you're going to take that territory. We're never going to compete head to head. So they're not really competitors. So this is how you get firms that are able to say, we're breaking the law, but it doesn't matter because we did it with an app. So this is different from the antitrust stuff. The antitrust stuff is, we're breaking the law, but it doesn't matter because the law is stupid and we don't enforce the law anymore. This is different. They're saying, we're violating your privacy, but we did it with an app. It doesn't matter. We're violating your labor rights. We did it with an app. It doesn't matter. Amazon. So Amazon has a $38 billion a year advertising business, but it's not advertising the way you and I think about it. What they're selling is search placement. So when you search Amazon for a product, the top box, the top left box, the first position in the buy box, on average is 29% more expensive than the best deal on Amazon. The top row is 25% more expensive than the best deal on Amazon. On average, you have to go 17 places down to get the best deal on Amazon, right? So if you walked into a store, if you walked into Best Buy and you were like, give me your cheapest Duracells, and instead they gave you batteries that weren't Duracells that cost 30% more, you could sue them, right? The Attorney General would send them a nasty letter. Do it with an app, and it doesn't matter because we did it with an app.
Well, but I agree with you like 1,000,000% here, because all these Uber and Lyft, right? And most of these gig companies, they sell themselves as SaaS, or, we're a software platform. We have nothing to do with transportation. I'm going like, how does that, why isn't Uber, like I've always called Uber, a cab company with an app. I mean,
of course
you're taking me from point A to point B, sir. I'm not sure why you're not transportation company.
No, of course. That's all Uber is. So this is the second piece, right? So you have regulatory capture. But then we come to the third piece, and this is where you were talking about how gig drivers are, if they're smart, they can get better deals out of the algorithm. They can play the algorithm back. Ultimately, that's a game you're going to lose. But you don't have to lose it, because you don't need to manually try to outguess the algorithm. There's no reason that you couldn't have an app that tried to outguess the algorithm. So like gig riders in Indonesia, they have these apps called Tuyul apps, Tuyul. I don't know if you've encountered this in your gig economy research. It's where they
but I you go ahead and then I'll come up with
so they pay third-party technologists to write mods that overlay the apps, like what Pero is doing with the DoorDash app.
Yes.
So like if you're picking up from a train station in Indonesia, you don't want to be outside the train station when the train comes in. It's like it's a death trap, right? What you want to do is wait around the corner for someone to like book the ride, and then you want to drive in and get them. But the ride won't give you a fare unless you're in front of the app won't give you a fare unless you're right in front of the train station. So the drivers have got Tuyul apps that let them spoof the GPS. Yeah. So they tell they tell their phone to tell the company, I'm directly in front of the train station, but they're actually waiting around the corner. And this is a better deal for everyone. So you could just mod the app. So you could do something like you remember on DoorDash, there was a campaign for Dashers not to take rides unless they reached a certain threshold, right? Decline all rides below a certain threshold.
Right.
Why should you have to do that manually? Why couldn't all the Uber drivers who meet each other, waiting at the airport kiss and ride lot, just say, hey, have you heard there's this app? You turn it on and nobody takes a ride until the wage bid up for the app is a certain per mile per minute, right? And you could just have a thing like, because it's not a sophisticated trick, it's just a fast trick. You could have a fairly unsophisticated app that just outdoes it. But here's why
we do have apps like that, except that the problem within the US, for one reason or another, unlike Indonesia, you could spoof your GPS with Uber as well. I mean, I'm not going to say I did it, but all I know is that they have become so sophisticated, Cory, that their algos figure out your elevation level, right? So if you're like spoofing your GPS when you're on top of Sunset and then you're going to LAX, well, the app figures out, well, top of Sunset and LAX is a water level, Sunset is 1,000 foot high. You can't be both places at once. And guess what they'll do? They'll do something called deactivate you, which is fire you. Fire you. Literally fire you. That's what fire.
Yeah. So look,
can't fight it.
It's because they're more sophisticated, and I don't think you can't fight it. I think, because remember, I talked about how digital technology has this flexibility, right? Yeah. So like, here's a little computer science jargon. The only computer that we know how to make is something called the Turing Complete Universal von Neumann machine. It's a lot of jargon that just means the only computer we know how to make is a computer that can run every single program, not just the programs that Uber wants your phone to run, not just the program that HP wants your printer to run. All programs can be run on all computers, which means that you can always undo this. Now, it may be that they've instituted some checks, but here's the real reason that you can't build an app that counter-twiddles the twiddling that Uber is doing, that undoes the algorithmic wage discrimination. It's because regulatory capture is not just the right to ignore the law. It's the right to invoke the law against your competitors. And over the last 40 years, we've seen a monotonic expansion of IP rights. So, for example, there's a law called the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA. You're probably familiar with it because, like, this video has been removed thanks to a claim under the DMCA, right? So DMCA is a big, gnarly hairball of copyright law signed by Bill Clinton. Section 1201 of the DMCA makes it a felony punishable by a 5-year prison sentence and a $500,000 fine to reverse engineer anything that has a digital lock on it. And so the reason that you're getting these like kind of half-assed GPS spoofs instead of these purpose-built things is because if you wanted to reverse engineer the Uber app, it would be illegal. So we have this thicket of IP laws, patents, copyrights, trademarks, tortious interference with contract, and so on. This is the ability of firms to mobilize the state in the form of IP enforcement against people who do things that would otherwise be legal, but that displease their shareholders. A guy called Jay Freeman, who built an alternative app store for iOS, he calls it felony contempt of business model, right? And so if a company is not constrained by competition or by regulation or by the fear that their Uber drivers will make a counter app, or, here's an example. Imagine you're around a boardroom table and you're doing the product planning meeting for your website. And someone says, fellas, I've had a realization. We all get paid based on like the net return from our advertising. And if we can increase our advertising by 2%, we all get a big bonus. We get to take ski holidays in France. I think we could get 2% more out of our advertisers if we made the advertisements 20% more obnoxious, right? Yeah. Now you say that, and someone else around the table, someone who doesn't give a shit about the users, still puts their hand up and says, I like how you're thinking, but has it occurred to you that if we make the ads 20% more obnoxious, then 40% of our users are going to go to the search engine. They're going to type in, how do I block ads? And when that happens, the revenue per user, it's not 100%. It's not 102%. It's zero forever, right? Because no one's going back to the search engine to type, how can I start seeing ads again? So you agree you're not going to make the ads worse. But then they say, okay, next order of business, how about the app? And the guy who's running the meeting turns to the guy who put his hand up and says, I bet you're going to say we shouldn't make the ads 20% more obnoxious on the app either. The guy says, you're right. I think we should make them 100% more obnoxious. Because we don't care if someone goes and types, how do I block ads on the app? Because the answer is it's a felony to make an ad blocker for an app. And the answer is you can't. We don't have to care. We're the mobile phone company. This is why every company wants you to use their apps and not their websites. Because an app is just a euphemism for a website skinned in enough IP to make it a felony to modify it so it's good for you, but bad for the company that made it. It's a way to invoke felony contempt of business model.
Yeah, this is amazing information coming from you. So I will have a few more minutes remaining, but I want to hit look, as rideshare drivers, we're all nervous about. In fact, I took a Waymo trip a couple of weeks ago, right? Autonomous vehicles, AI, it's all coming. We're all going to lose our jobs. I don't think so. I think it's like bullshit of all bullshits. More upside down in economics, actually unit economics, than Uber ever was. And then now we actually made fun of them last week that burritos are being carried, Uber Eats burritos are being carried by Waymo cars that are $300,000 a pop. You know what I mean? I'm going like, but our audience can, they ask me the questions and I'll just relay the question. They go like, are we all going to get replaced by Waymo or Cruise, or now Tesla is getting into the rideshare business or whatever? What is your opinion about that?
Should we all get nervous? To understand. Yeah. So here's the thing you have to understand is that the risk isn't that someone's going to invent a self-driving car that can do your job as well as you can. The risk is that someone will make a self-driving car that is absolutely unsuited to being on the streets, and your boss is going to fire you and buy a self-driving car instead. Right. Like, so we worry a lot about like AI disinformation and the elections. And like, we don't really have an active and present AI disinformation in the elections problem. Like, there've been some other elections that have had a little issues with this, the Czech elections and stuff, but it's not really a big issue. We do have a bunch of AI problems though, right? Like, algorithmic wage discrimination, algorithms that decide whether you're eligible for bail, algorithms that decide whether you can get a loan, algorithms that decide whether, to match your face and tell the cops that you did a crime. All of those are like serious problems with algorithms. And here's the difference, right? Is there is no line of business projected by AI companies that's based on AI disinformation. And so they would like it for us to get really worried about AI disinformation and to ban AI disinformation, because it's not going to cost them a dime. They don't have like a sales guy who's out there like pitching AI disinformation as the next big lead gen for them, right? They do, on the other hand, get very scared if you talk about things like these don't work. Right? These shouldn't be used in any high stakes circumstance, like self-driving cars or like self-driving system of justice or like self-driving loan approval or self-driving radiographic analysis of a chest x-ray, right? Those are things that it's absolutely unsuited to do. And that does undermine their bottom line. So the kind of AI disinformation that I think we should really be worried about is the AI disinformation that convinces your boss, who is insatiably horny for firing you and replacing you with a computer program, that AI is good enough to do your job, whether or not it's good enough to do your job. So you should be scared, right? You should be scared that your boss thinks that the AI is good enough to do your job, will fire you and replace you with an AI, but not because the AI is good at its job. And we need to stop going out there and saying the AI is going to take my job, because every time you do that, you make the share price of the AI company go up. Because that is a thing that they're actually selling. What you have to say is the AI can't do my job and they're going to replace me with it. That's the thing that makes the share price go down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that as well. I think it's so overhyped because I have a Wall Street background. I was on Wall Street for 23 years as a derivatives and equities trader. I look at some of these AI stocks. I'm going like, this is not the tulip of tulips. I don't know what the heck it is. I don't know. They're just kind of selling some song and a dance. But look, I mean, I can talk to you all day, and then I'm promising you, I'm going to buy you lunch whenever you're in town in Burbank. We'll find an Armenian. I'm Armenian, so we'll find a Middle Eastern restaurant. If you're in
I'd heard that there was an Armenian person living in Burbank. It's great to meet you.
Thanks. Hey, we're taking over Granada Hills. I'm in Granada Hills, so
well, I'm from Toronto, which is like the other. It's like the suburb of Glendale.
But so we have a few minutes remaining. Look, we're rideshare drivers. We're simple-minded people, right? And well, not really, but we like to post ourselves as such, and then hammer these companies on a weekly basis. Give us some advice. Give our audience some advice. What this you talked about uncertification. You talked about how we can end it, right? And then close your hour here. Give us some sage advice.
Well, so you were saying the FTC hasn't done anything, the DOJ hasn't done anything, and that is true, broadly speaking. From the Carter administration through the Trump administration, the regulators were asleep, right? They just oversaw this like orgy of law breaking that made everything about our world worse and put us in the most dire of straits. But a remarkable thing happened in 2020, and let me start by saying that I'm a naturalized American citizen. It was the first election I was allowed to vote in. I donated to 4 different Democrats for president. None of them were Biden. I'm not a Biden guy, right? Nevertheless, I have been shocked, delighted, amazed, sometimes even elated by the competition and corporate anti-corporate wrongdoing policies of the Biden administration. We have seen more action taken on breaking up monopolies and ending regulatory capture in the last 3 years than we saw in the 40 years before it. We have transformative leadership. They're trying to break up Google. They're trying to break up Amazon. They're trying to break up Facebook. They went after Adobe. They're going after all of these giant companies. They blocked the Spirit JetBlue merger. They blocked the Simon & Schuster Penguin Random House merger. You talk to people who are in mergers and acquisitions, and they'll say, we don't even try, because we get around the boardroom table. And it used to be the last question we'd ask is, what about the FTC? And then we'd all chuckle and go, yeah, all right, we're going ahead with this. Now, the first question we ask is, what about the FTC? And then we go, I guess it's meeting adjourned. So we're living under a transformative moment here. And there is a concerted propaganda campaign on the part of monopolists and the people who get rich from them to convince you that nothing's happening. The Wall Street Journal has run 100 editorials complaining that Lena Khan, the chairwoman of the Federal Trade Commission, isn't getting anything done. Look, Rupert Murdoch does not pay the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal to write 100 editorials about someone who's not getting anything done. Right? That's not how that guy rolls. Right? So, whatever else is going on in our politics, which I will freely stipulate are a goddamn cesspit, we are at a moment where there is more support for unionization, more support for getting money out of politics, more support for breaking up corporate power than there's ever been. And normally it's hard to know what to do, but the FTC is doing these like listening tours. The DOJ is soliciting comments. The National Labor Review Board is doing work. Our Labor Relations Board is doing work. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is doing work like we've never seen. CFPB, the chair, Rohit Chopra, just gave a speech where he said, yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is ban data brokers. We're just going to make them illegal.
Yep.
Right? So like we haven't had a new privacy law in this country since 1988. The last privacy law we got, consumer privacy law we got, bans video store clerks from telling someone what VHS cassettes you rent. Right? That's the last time we got a new federal privacy law. Like a lot of this stuff, algorithmic wage discrimination, the stuff that they're doing, gray balling, all that stuff just is like a privacy violation. Yeah. You ban surveillance conduct, and all that stuff just kind of goes out the window. The thing where they're measuring your elevation from your phone and getting your phone to rat you out, that should just be illegal. Like, why is your phone telling Dara how high above sea level it is? It's none of his goddamn business.
I agree. And let's finish with this. I mean, hopefully we're going to interview Dara shortly, and we're going to interview actually David Risher, the CEO of Lyft, coming up, hopefully in May sometime.
Ask him if he thinks competition is for losers, and if not, whether he's going to give Peter Thiel his money back.
He's going to try, but it's not going to be one of his Wall Street puff piece interviews. It's going to be here. But if you were to speak to them, what would you tell Dara and David Risher, the CEOs of Uber and Lyft, that we kind of are working for these days? Really, what would you tell them?
So there's a part of me that says, like, I got nothing to say to those guys. There's this great Noam Chomsky interview where the reporter is like, you tell everyone that, like, I get told what to say by my bosses, and no one's ever told me what to say. And Chomsky's like, no, you've misunderstood me. I don't think you get told what to say. I think that if you were the kind of person who didn't say what they wanted to hear, that you wouldn't be sitting in that chair. Like, Dara is who he is, right? Like, he's doing the thing that he is that the shareholders want him to do. So this is the thing that's really important to understand about this constraint-based analysis of enshittification. It's not that the people got worse; they've always been scum, and it's not that it's not that like the world suddenly became more tolerant of this. It's that every day of these guys' life for the last 40 years since the Reagan administration, they've gone into the office and their only job is to go to the giant lever on the wall marked enshittification and shove it as far up as it will go. Yeah. But for 40 years, it didn't go very far because competition held it in check, regulation held it in check, self-help held it in check. When tech workers were powerful, before we did 260,000 tech layoffs last year, tech workers held it in check. So now that same guy marches into the office like he's done every day for 40 years, and he takes the lever and it goes all the way up. It goes to full enshittification. And it's not because he, had like a kind of heel turn, right? Or like a stroke that turned him from a hero who wanted to deliver things we liked into a villain who wanted to take it all away. It's because the things that held that guy in check are gone.
Yep.
So on the one hand, I don't have much to say to him. On the other hand, I would ask him, like, are you a capitalist? Do you think that you should take risks? Like, do you think that if someone does something that, you know, counters your plans, like makes an app that lets your drivers figure out, you know, what wage is being offered and coordinate to demand a different wage, that the government should step in and say, oh, you've got an IP right to stop people from doing that. And that you don't have to, and that so you as a firm don't have to take the risk that someone will make a better technology that gives your workforce a better deal. Because if you don't believe in taking risks, you're not a capitalist, you're a feudalist.
Well, that's what they do, though. I mean, in finishing, you know, I'm behind legislation in a bunch of cities. And, you know, this is, as you know, I'm sure it's happening in Minneapolis, right? City Council of Minneapolis. They push back with all the 4 levers, you know, to push back on gentrification. And then Uber and Lyft goes out. We're going to leave now. We're not happy about it.
They did that in Austin, too. So
yeah, I know.
Either the drivers will start a co-op and buy an app because it's not rocket surgery, or you know, the companies will come back. Both of those things happen in Austin, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I follow it. I know it. But so okay, you know, in finishing, I want to thank you. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
I want you to come back. I mean, you know, but the reason I want you to come back is because I don't think we can solve this in like one single hour, right?
No.
And there's so much. I mean, your life's work went into this, has gone into this, and I want to honor you, obviously. And open invitation to you. I don't say this to every guest. I don't say it to every guest, and Chris knows it. And open invitation to you because you're so real and you're so in tune with what's going on that.
Thank you.
I you know, again, here's Cory Doctorow. All his links and his bio is in the show notes. Please go visit him. Please read everything he's written. You don't have to agree with him, but what you have to do is you have to understand where he's coming from. And, you know, much love. Thank you.
Are you saying that a reasonable person could possibly disagree with me? I don't see how that could be true.
Well, few people disagree with you, I'm pretty sure, but you know, isn't it all about that though, right? We disagree, we agree to disagree, and we just kind of civilly discuss and argue things, which also has left the building a long time ago, which is like, I'm like, what's going on here? But again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Sergio.
I appreciate your time.
All right, nice to talk to you guys.
All right, take care.
All right, thanks, Cory.
Bye.
All right, so
I leave. I'm on leave now. I can't.
We do have some other things that we got to go over. So
my God, like I don't know who does this, bro. Come on now, Jesus Christ, holy shit! Like honestly,
well, you know what's funny?
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is one of the things that we're going to be talking about, which you guys, which he had mentioned and you had mentioned, the elevation, the newest thing that the Uber app wants your approval on, which if you have an iPhone, do not give that. If you have an Android, I'm sorry, you're kind of fucked. But when it comes to that, which we're going to be talking about in a little while, is they want your motion and activity. So that was the latest thing that they wanted, and we're going to show that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they're literally trying to finger everything in your phone and wrap it around, kind of like Norton antivirus does. They just kind of wrap into your computer all over and try to get into the root system. It's very similar to what Uber's doing. They're just literally a virus that's getting into your phone. At least the Apple has somewhat of a lockdown, so you can give them permissions or not, and they can't really do anything if you say no to them. But Android, I couldn't imagine. If you got an Android and you're driving Uber or Lyft, I might want to get an iPhone just to try to get away from some of that ability of Uber to spy on other parts of the phone.
Yeah, I mean, I have an Android, but I mean, I like it because it's open system and I can download the older versions of the Uber app with glitches in it. But look, man, you know, these companies want everything from you at every second now, as if they didn't know about it. They want more and more and more and more. It's up to you guys to give it to them or not. But at some point, you have no choice because they force you, just like the TOS, right? If you don't sign it or agree to it, you can't drive. That's what they're going to do at some point. I mean, they're literally forcing themselves upon you. So, you know, we have like a lot of topics, so we're going to go like, what, 5 minutes each?
Yeah, let's go fast. But
my eyes on the clock, bro.
All right. Well, either way, that was a great guest. If you want more from him, links going to be in the description, so you can check that out. If I did say motion and fitness. So if you didn't hear, then but we'll be talking about that in a little bit. First, we're going to be talking about some more algorithmic wage discrimination. And this is basically two different rides that are from two different people, because you can actually see the star ratings a little bit different and the prices are different. So this is something that I came across over on and posted on X, and
Yep.
you know, the amazing community that everybody is posted a couple more screenshots. This is why we have 3 screenshots right now. So if you are out there and you see something like this, make sure you get this to us so we can see. Now, the chance of seeing 2 different rides going to the same pickup and drop off is going to be harder to see, but this is what we're seeing. So you as the driver are literally sitting in the exact same spot. So every single thing is the exact same. All of the different variables that they claim are the exact same. The only difference is the passenger who possibly ordered it. Those are the only differences in variables. But where you are in relation to the pickup, where you are in relation to the drop off for both of those rides are the exact same. So every variable for the driver is the same, but yet there's still different prices coming on. So the first one that you see is from Uber, and you know, it's only about 25 cents difference when it comes to it. Now, this could be potentially the same ride because it does have the same star rating, but you're seeing the same thing. You're seeing 12.31 for the same ride going from East 40th in Chicago to Chicago Union Station, and on the top you're seeing 12.31. On the bottom it's 12.09. So
22
I don't know,
cents.
25 cents difference. But then you go on to the other side now, in the middle. So for those who are listening, I'll let you know, you're seeing 2 different rides. You got a 5-star rated passenger on top. You got a 493 rated passenger below. Both have $2.25 surge because, again, you as a driver are in the exact same spot.
Yep.
It's 5 minutes away, 1.2 miles to the pickup, and then 24-minute trip. And this is in Dallas. The top one is 1758 with the 5-star rated passenger, and it's 1568 for the lower rated passenger, 493. So I don't know what's going on there, but you're getting, again, 2 different riders who are ordering, same pickup, same drop off. You're getting almost $2 difference there, $1.90 total difference when it comes to the ride. So what would you choose? Obviously, the one that's going to be paying more. I don't know what's going on there, but then Lyft is doing the same exact thing. So I mean, we all say that Uber and Lyft are 2 different companies. I'm saying probably by name only at this point, because this is the first screenshot that I came across that I posted on X was the Lyft one. The 2 Uber ones were the ones that came beyond that. So yeah, he's, again, same thing. 4.9 rated passenger and a 5-star rated passenger. You got 1605 for the ride, or 2005. So it's a $4 difference here when it comes to the pickup and drop off, which is the exact same for both rides. And you're getting paid $4 difference. The only difference I see on Lyft versus Uber is the higher paid on Uber is actually first, and the higher paid on that, I don't know. What are they expecting, that the person is going to take the top one and tap that one, or are you going to go to the higher price there?
You know, but I remember when you tweeted this, I said I noticed the passenger rating is different. So there are 2 different passengers, right? On the first one, they're the same, but on the Uber one and the Lyft one, the passenger ratings are different. So what I was thinking is, why is the higher rated passenger getting stiffed more than the low rated? I would think it'll be the other way around. If you're low rated, you should pay more, right? I'm going like, I don't know. So, but yeah, this is FTC right here. FTC, you're watching Lena Khan. This is it right here. What's happening here? I mean, same job, same time, just 2 different riders, and then the driver is being offered drastically different pricing on Lyft and Uber. I mean, couple of bucks, you guys may not think it's as much, but on a couple of billion trips, that's billions of dollars. And same thing on Lyft, $4, right? So yeah, algorithmic wage discrimination is alive and well. And here you go. This is what the know. The surges are not different. Exactly what's happening. So I'm going like, so this kind of says that, Chris, also, you know, they don't have algorithmic wage discrimination on the driver end. They're doing the same shit on the rider end. You know what I'm saying? So every rider has a tiny little file in their AWS server saying, oh, this is what we're going to charge you, and this is what we're going to charge you. I'm going like, yeah, that should be kind of illegal. But yeah, that's where we are with this one. And this is Chris's find. I think it continues. I mean, shit, man. You know, it's not ending. So yeah.
Yep, it's crazy. I would love to see the receipts though, so we could see
So would
actually
I.
what the
So
passenger
would I.
paid for all these rides. So
Yeah.
that's the only way we could really find it out, but and get all the information. But yeah, this is still pretty unique. The fact that two different rides, same pickup, same drop off, which happens quite a bit. You know, all of these things are happening and they're paying different. So I don't know.
Well, that, I mean, Jeff, that's a good point, but I'm kind of assuming that the higher fare also is being charged, you know, that passenger is being charged more, right? If they're paying you more, they're charging you more. It's not like they're going to charge the passenger less and pay you more, which is like, we could literally break the world record in Lyft and Uber land. So, you know, I'm kind of
I don't
assuming
know. I mean, I don't know. The one picture that I posted again on X, follow us on X, because we post a lot of things there.
yeah, in the show
So
notes
you
down
can see a
below.
lot of the things. But the thing that I just posted was talking about the Common Core math on Lyft with the 70/30, and the external expenses was 64% of the total fare price. So you had the passenger paying 64%. So I mean, Jeff could be right where you don't know what the passenger's paying, and we don't. Because it could be where they're saying that the commercial insurance is, you know, $5 higher on the one that's paying less, and who knows. So it could equal out. But who knows exactly what's going on. But yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, so should we do our quick announcement for a couple of minutes and then go on to the next topic?
I think Sergio, you got something that you're gonna say, something about a $20 minimum
I don't know,
wage.
there's 350 OU here and probably 10,000 will watch later. I started a new YouTube channel. It's my name, Sergio Avidian. So if you go at Sergio Avidian, that's also in the show notes, or link is in the show notes. It's not going to be about rideshare. It's not going to be about gig economy. It's something about, I know, 10 times more than rideshare, which is going to be about finance and trading and education. Because I like effective altruism, but it's not about that either. I mean, I have a great saying that I've heard. You know, if you don't give a man a fish, teach him how to fish. And if you guys are interested in finance, in trading, in derivatives, in equities, and why it takes place, how it takes place, please go subscribe. It's at Sergio Avidian. More importantly, Chris is my YouTube manager on that channel. So starting next Monday, we're going to start doing live streams for 1 hour, Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be called Power Hour. It's going to be about talking about topics for a half hour, and it's going to be Q&A, answering questions. Again, none of this is financial advice. None of it is trading advice, but you guys will learn from somebody who's done this for 30 plus years successfully and survived at least 5 crashes that I can count on. And we're going to do the same thing again, Power Hour on Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific, live stream, 4 p.m. Eastern. So with all that said, we're already dropping content. The first piece of content that dropped today was, is there going to be a stock market crash in 2024? And, you know, we put it up there. So please go subscribe. I mean, you know, if there's 350 of you, all 350 should go subscribe immediately. You will learn a lot. I like teaching. I like educating. And look, maybe there is a way of you guys reaching your financial freedom a lot sooner if you knew about finance, and if you knew about retirement, if you knew about trading, if you knew about, you know, why things happen in this world. If you'll hear my opinion, just like you're hearing on Rideshare here about finance and stock markets around the globe and trading and whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. So our live streams, Mondays and Fridays, we cannot do a live stream. We're not going to watch each other. So please join our live stream. So that's why I go subscribe, click on all notifications, so you get notified that we're doing a live stream, because we watch each other plenty. So we don't want to watch it on that channel. We just started it a couple days ago. I believe that you guys will support us. It's free. There is nothing to pay. Just go click subscribe, click turn on notifications, and join us on live streams and watch our content. That's all I can say.
Yep. I think I'm going to take it one step further though for you, and that is he's got plenty years of experience when it comes to being in trading, and 30 plus. And you know, there could be people who are watching right now or watching later on the replay, and you're like, I have no idea what anything is. I'm X age, and I'm looking at retirement, but I don't have anything, or I want some extra money in savings, or I might be worried that AI or a self-driving car that can't do my job is coming for me and taking my job, and like the plan B. So if it's something where you have zero knowledge, or if you're a veteran trader, it's still something that you probably will learn some from, because everybody's going to have something different. But when you're going over some of the basics, and then when you're going over some of more advanced topics, you're going to be able to understand the markets a little bit and what it means. And, Sergio's got a great wealth of information. So if you think he knows his stuff about rideshare, him and I have a lot of conversations beyond when it comes to finance and when it comes to the market and things like that. And, it's a plethora of information even beyond. So very cornucopia there when it comes to Sergio and what he knows and what he's willing to share. So make sure you go check that out.
Definitely not that 1189 Paris. And I will actually talk about that on Monday. Should you be a day trader, a stock jockey, or should you invest? Should you have different portfolios for different things? But you guys have to subscribe, join our live streams. It's going to be wide open, 1 hour. First half hour, I'm going to talk about topics, why things happen, set up the week, and then Q&A. You guys can ask me about whatever you want. Actually, probably all of them, I'm going to share my trading screen with you guys. I would like to buy some stock in Sergio. Well, yeah, when we go public, maybe, I'll give you special treatment. But
name of the channel is at SergioAvidian.com. I'm sorry, at Surgeon Video. Link is going to be in the description, so you can see it.
It's just my name, at Sergio Avidian on YouTube, and go. Please subscribe. Seriously, I think it'll, even if you guys don't watch, look, you've seen my mug for 2 years here on YouTube for Rideshare. Let's change a little pace and share the wealth, man. Educate. I love doing it, and if I can help some of you to accelerate your your goals towards your financial freedom, then again, doesn't mean you have to do what I'm doing, but at least you're going to learn. And knowledge is power, just like it is in Rideshare. So that's it. You guys, supported us here. Please support us there, and that's all we're asking. So see you next Monday. We're first live stream coming up, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Power Hour. I like that name, bro.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good name. So hold on. There we go. Tony, I'll give you that right now. So if you want to just send to the link.
So come with your questions. Keep the live stream live like this. I'm sure we're not going to have 500 people on the first one, but we're going to build, because when we first started Show Me the Money, we had like 40 people. Now we're like 500 people. Okay, if we can get there, we're in a race. We're in a race to catch up to Show Me the Money. That one actually is showing the money. This one is like, I don't know.
Actually, both are. It's just in a different way. And then you could join it together, and then you're really seeing the money. So,
and you know what? At some point, I will share, my trading account with you guys, what I'm doing, and maybe you'll follow and make a few shekels. You never know, but that's going to come a lot later. So for now, just subscribe, click notifications, join us for the live stream. We'll go on from there. Next topic, Serge.
Yeah. So that was that. Congrats. With the new channel, and hopefully we'll go from there.
Well, you're a big part
we got
of it.
More of Show Me the Money coming, so don't go anywhere. No dropping off. Our next topic, actually,
we have an hour of shit to do here. Don't go anywhere yet. And you know what? For Chris, I couldn't have picked a better man to be my YouTube manager, because he makes me look good on the videos. But not only that,
thanks, Tony.
He knows the shit inside out. I would be so lost without Chris. So I'm going like, "Whoa, hey, Chris, you want to do this?" He goes like, "Yeah, okay, sure." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Because
honestly, I wouldn't know what to do.
I've been doing YouTube for almost 6 years now.
I think you know what you're doing. I trust you.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about how Uber and Lyft will cut upfront fares when the trip is short, but they don't do the same when the trip runs long. What's going on there, Sergio?
Honest to God, I'm working on this, Chris. Honest to God, I'm working on this. This is the first one. The second one. This is the first screenshot that you showed on the algorithmic wage discrimination.
My bad.
No problem. Okay, so we've done this a million times. Uber, Lyft know about this. I'm serious. Especially with Lyft, I'm seriously working on this. Okay, this is going to be done this year. If nothing else, in 2024, this is going to change. At least on Lyft. On Uber is like fucking. Yeah, Uber. Okay, actually, tomorrow we're going to talk about this. You know who you are. So okay, I have this problem with all these companies. Okay, if look at the screenshot on the left, one from Uber, one from Lyft. Estimate came in 22 minutes, 7.16 miles. It lasted 17 minutes and 6.28 miles, so less than a mile less and 5 minutes less. Upfront was 10.12. It dropped to 6.66, the number of the devil. Okay, Lyft. That's a 35% haircut lift.
No, that's an edge case.
What?
That's an edge case.
Bro, don't trigger me now, bro. Don't trigger me now, bro.
I gotta trigger you so that we can get really
edge case times 1 million drivers times once a day. Bullshit edge case. You know who you are there. So that's that. Okay. Second trip in the middle. Well, actually, no. Let's go to look at Uber's. Uber's came in at 10. What is it? It's too dark. 10:58. And they hammered it. Yeah, 10:58 or something like that.
Yeah, the upfront price was 10:58. Yep.
Okay, 10:58. They cut it 15% to 9:14. And the problem with Uber, at least on Lyft, you know, God bless Lyft with transparency. Those two boxes, right? Undeniable. They put it on the left, the estimated, the actual on the right. You know what happened there. On Uber, they'll just go, oh, the fare has been reduced because the drop-off has changed. And on this one, the drop-off change happened, Uber, because the passenger put the wrong terminal. What is the driver supposed to do? Drop the passenger off at the terminal and keep driving? Then do you accuse him of like extending the trip somehow? Something will happen there. Okay? Bullshit. Now, the one in the middle is where things are going to get fixed. Here's a black SUV chip. I'm sure all of you are going to say, what the hell are you complaining about, Serge? $104.25. That's not the point. The trip came in at 59 minutes and 41.9 miles. Okay? The trip lasted an hour and 24. That's 25 extra minutes. Lyft. Why is my 25 minutes not worth to you? Anything. And of course, the upfront did not change. And this driver went the black hole and asked for a fare adjustment, and he didn't get any. So when the trip gets a little shorter, just a little bit, the hammer is out by 30, 35, 40%. In Uber's case, 15. In Lyft's case, 35. When the trip goes literally 25 more minutes than the estimate, almost 50% longer, no adjustment. No.
I don't know about you, but I think that's significantly longer.
Obviously not.
Clearly. What would I know? I'm just a driver.
No, you know, but that's bullshit. So we're going to fix this year. By the end of 2024, this will be fixed on Lyft. Uber, we're gonna keep butting heads for probably another month, and then they'll figure it out. Because it is unconscionable that I have to spend 25 minutes of my life with a passenger in the car longer than your estimate, which sucked. How's that my fault, Lyft? I just accepted the trip on face, meaning 59 minutes and 42 miles for $104. Done. If you showed me that trip at an hour and 24 minutes, not a goddamn chance in hell I probably would accept that. You know what I'm saying? Transparency. Yep. You guys want to be all, you're all transparent with that 70-30 hocus pocus? Be transparent with this. That's it.
Oh, yeah. 64% of that going right to external fees.
You have that etched in your brain.
Oh, well, I literally just saw that probably about an hour before the show started. So I'm like, oh, I got to put that on X. And we'll probably post that on next week's show because it was real. Like I said, I just came. But yeah, something like that. It's now you're getting wild because when you bring it down to what the driver actually made on that, I think it was like $40 for the ride. He made like $15 or $16 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the majority of was this external expense. Please.
Who knows what that is? Well, mostly, I'm told it's commercial insurance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
Daniel Rivas is my man in Ventura County. He's an MBA student. He's smart as shit. By any measure, these trips that our TNC is failing to adjust for are, yeah. I'm sure that if this were based on distance, see, he says shit like this. I don't even understand. He's way too smart. No, actually, I agree with you, Daniel. Yeah, so Daniel is the man.
Yep.
He's one of my eyes and ears in Ventura County.
See, the reason why they use terms like significant and that is because instead of them actually defining what it means, like, oh, if we were going to go a quarter of a mile over or under, or 30 minutes, I'm sorry, like 5 minutes over or under, either way, and then it would be changed. No, it's so open-ended that it's like, okay, if you're 3 mailboxes short, we're cutting 12%.
30%. Yeah.
And that type of thing. But if you go 500 mailboxes down the road because our app sucks and we weren't able to get at the right spot, well, then too bad, so sad.
Too bad, too sad.
Oh.
Okay, we take it back. I take it back. Apologies. Daniel, he's a PhD student, not an MBA student. He finished his MBA long.
Oh, congrats.
Daniel is I'm telling you, is smarter than shit, bro. So anyway, yeah, Lyft, we know who we are. We're gonna fix that. Uber, we definitely need to fix that. You guys are the big gorilla in the room. I mean, if you're gonna hammer the driver by cutting the fare, you need to do the same the other way around. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about what is going on with Uber Green, the goalposts, and some things there.
Yeah, this was sent to me by Daniel, actually. Here you go, Daniel. There's your there's
perfect
your
timing.
Yeah, Daniel. There you go. How'd you know I was coming up with this? Uber going to Uber has this thing, they're gonna go 2030, what? 2030, they're gonna go all EVs, the low carbon footprint, we're earth friendly, blah 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 blah. We did show things about that in the past on Show Me the Money, and Chris said not a chance in hell that's going to happen by 2030. I'm going like, yeah. So
what happened? They extended
it. Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's when they moved the goalpost. So did you get this? This is from Daniel to me. Before I bemoan the rest of the email, did you notice that they moved the goalpost for bringing zero emissions? It went from 2030 to 2040. That's a goddamn decade. Interesting detail. Now, how did he prove this? And we're going to show that on the next screenshot. But let me finish reading what he wrote. Dara can't tout Uber's commitment to sustainability and try to pressure other corporations and governments, which we talked about when he was in Davos. Remember? He opened his hand to the governments. He goes, "Oh, it's not happening.
Please, can we get money?
Please,
money? We promise we'll give some of it to the drivers."
Yeah, and then we get rid of the EV credit. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
200 rides, you get $210.
That's why they did this now. Because they got rid of the EV credit. They're going like, okay, since we're not going to 2040, we don't have to give the EV credit.
The reality is, too, the adoption rate is much less.
Bro, why would anybody buy a $40,000 EV to do Uber for $3 at a trip? Come on, man. Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, and I told Elon Musk, I doubt he saw it, but if I am able to get their system and send my car off to wherever for the entire time that I'm sleeping, I will gladly buy a Tesla tomorrow. But
well, Tesla is having problems.
So I guess I got to wait until August 8th.
Yeah, we'll talk about Tesla stock. We'll talk about Tesla stock on Monday on Power Hour. It's not doing well. So anyway, and then Daniel keeps saying that they are moving the opposite direction by scaling back incentives, correct, and kicking the bucket down the road, which is they're very good at that. If you need proof, and Daniel being the PhD student, he has to work on proof. If you need proof that they moved the goalpost, I'll also forward the email from last June. So Daniel keeps all the emails. You know why? That's why he's a PhD student. He keeps shit and he reads shit. That aside, their communications have been bad lately. Must have a new intern. Their communications have been bad, Daniel, for the past 10 years. Whoever writes this stuff, I don't know. The subject heading should read, "We did you a favor by removing green from your trip options. You're welcome." And then this is Go Get Zero, and this is Daniel's email that he received from Uber. What's the date, Chris? June what?
That was June 8th of 2023, so less than a year ago, and it's a zero emissions by 2030.
Go get it. Go get zero. Go get it.
Go get zero. But wait.
Go get zero, you fucker. And the next email, what's the date on that one? 2 days ago or 3 days ago, whatever it was.
Friday, April 12th, 2024. Update. Uber Green is transitioning to Uber ZEV only, but within the email, it says, at Uber, we're committed to becoming a zero-emission platform in the U.S. by 2040. A whole 10 years more.
What's happening? Not happening? 10 years is a long time. We'll all be dead by then, Dara. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, what's happening? So, you know what happens, Chris? Like Cory said, nobody pushes back from the government. Nobody pushes back from the state. Nobody pushes back from the city. Because they said, we're going to be zero emission, go get zero by 2030. Now they cavalierly, they go, it's going to be 2040 now. And nothing happens. Nothing. We talk about it, and then nothing happens. Zero profits is right. There you go. So the shitification continues. I love that word. I'm going to use that every show. And shitification continues.
I think the other thing, though, that we do need to address when it comes to Uber Green is that they are making changes for vehicle eligibility. So this is more of a serious thing, even though we're poking fun of a lot of things. So starting on May 21st, 2024, only fully electric vehicles or EVs and hydrogen-powered fuel cell vehicles will qualify for Uber Green trips. So hybrids, including plug-in hybrid vehicles, will no longer qualify. So that is something, too, that you need to know about because, unfortunately, if you have that hybrid, you're looking at a Uber Green, which...
too bad. Too sad. There's not going to be Uber Green preference in your shit anymore. So there you go. So how's that, I mean, why are you doing that to the Uber Green drivers? Not that people were getting like Uber Green pings one after the other. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to go zero emissions, why are you removing hybrids? I'm not sure.
Because it's not zero, it's partial.
Well, what about the freaking 98% of the cars that are ICE
instead of ZEV, it's PZEV. It's PZEV, partial zero.
Oh, okay, whatever. Anyway, so
they're going for that ZEV, but the reality is, it's just not going to happen. The adoption rate is not going fast enough, and the costs still associated, and the cost to repair a battery replacement is still astronomically high. That the majority of people do not want to switch to an electric vehicle. For the people who did, hey, if they like it, and it's working for them, great. I'm happy for you. But for the vast majority of people,
driving style, you're not going to get that many green pulls any longer because they're going away. Sorry. Do they pay more? I don't know. I don't have a green card. So did they pay more? Sure. Anybody in the chat? Do you guys know? Did they pay like a lot more than Uber X? Uber Green or the same?
I think it was supposed to be like $1 more because it was supposed to be like the $1 credit. And from what I remember, I mean, I could be a little wrong because they kind of announced it around the same time.
I don't know, bro.
So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, and I don't have it in my market either. So
I don't. Yeah, I had it, but no.
Oh, there you go. Tony says they pay the same as X. Same.
Oh, there you go. So I go whatever. Okay, so no EV. So only EV and what? Right. Hydrogen.
They're incentivizing on Uber's end. They're going to pay they were supposed to pay the extra $1 for EV credits to an EV car, and you feel good about ordering an Uber Green because you're going to get an electric vehicle or a hybrid vehicle, and now they're changing it again.
Leon, one of our favorites. I hopped on here because what do you mean? Nobody really on Facebook? Are we doing it on Facebook? I hope we are. Okay. All right. Fine. Well, come here, Dion. It's okay. we're not gonna bite you. It's okay. Okay. Cool. So, shout out to Matt, who's part of the C2C gang, Coast to Coast Driver Group. I may join you guys next Monday if I don't have anything else going on. But anyway, so
I was
next
listening for a little bit yesterday.
Did you? Okay. I wasn't there. I was other things. We were setting up our channel, bro. I was doing my boss's instructions were, you need to do those 3 videos now. And I'm going like, buddy. Just like, come on now.
I didn't say now. I said the one needs to get out now. The other two could have.
One needs to get out. No, you have to do all three now. You have to take screenshots. You have to do this now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, even Harry don't push me that much, bro. Like, come on now. So, anyway,
well,
so
either way, let's talk about some fuzzy math, some Common Core math. The Lyft 70-30 split.
You're good with that. Huh? You're good with that, aren't you? Common Core math?
Well, this one, I mean, the one that we can talk about next week, I'll take all on because I got so pissed off.
Close. This is pretty close, though. This is pretty close.
But this is the one me here. But either way, I mean, so the biggest thing when they came out with, the external expenses is going to be taken out before. Well, we've said, what about our external expenses?
Oh, fuck. We forgot to ask that to Cory. God dang it. You know I forgot. You should have reminded me next time.
Okay. Well, we'll do that next time. But, they never put a cap on what the external expenses were going to be. So we kind of just assumed it was going to be similar around. Now, I mean, this one, $46 is the passenger payment. The external expense right here that they claim is 27. I mean, quick math.
60. What is that?
How much?
60%.
I don't know, but it's crazy. Here, I'll do it right now.
58%, bro. Yeah, close to 60%. We're doing the finance channel, bro. I should figure that out. Come on now.
Yeah.
What is it? Okay, don't make me do
57.8. Well,
there you go. I said 58%.
9%.
Okay,
so
58%.
Almost 60%. And then the one that I posted on X was 64%.
Yeah.
I mean, these external fees are getting astronomically bloated at this point.
Yeah.
And
but on their blog, remember when they announced this, right? On their blog, what did they say? On average, 24 cents, 24% of each dollar is going to external expenses. I wrote the article. It's on our blog. Mm-hmm. We talked about it. Literally, I remember like today. It says on average, 24% of the fare goes to external expenses. So this must be an edge case.
I don't know, because I came across the one earlier. Let me pull it up. I don't know if you show on.
This is 58%. What happened to 24%? Okay, my belief in all this is a single chip. You guys cannot look at single chip. I say it all the time. All the emails you guys send me with ridiculous looks like this. There you go.
Right here. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this is the one that I just posted on X earlier.
What's the fare?
It's $38.99 is the passenger payment. The Lyft estimated external fees is $25.07, which comes to 64+%.
Yeah, I guess that 24% is out of the thing.
The Lyft fee is only $2.13 here, and the driver made $16.05. So that's well over the 70-30 split. But in reality, the driver did not make anywhere close.
Put the old screenshot back. 1 second. Put the screenshot back for a second. Not that one. The one that we had that we were talking about.
Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Check this out, people. Okay. Only in rideshare world that passenger will pay 46 or for almost 47. Driver will make 23. What is that, Chris? That's exactly 50%, right?
About, yeah.
Exactly. Almost. Literally, like to the penny. It's 50%. Okay.
Like 49.9.
But wait a minute. According to Lyft math, driver made 123%.
Yeah.
How's that working? If we did this,
Common Core math.
If we did this on our finance channel, bro, we'd be bankrupt tomorrow. If I traded stocks like this, I'll be bankrupt immediately.
I don't know, but if I was selling stocks like this, whoo.
Yeah, exactly. That's like selling a sack of potatoes for nothing. Look at this shit, man. 50% the driver makes, but that same 50% looks like 123%.
Lyft, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now.
Pretty good, bro.
You can try selling shit by dressing it up, but it's still shit. You can polish it all you want. It's still shit. I mean, you could put a pig in a dress. It's still a pig.
Yeah, I agree.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, learn to travel TV. Yeah, you're gonna be pegged right at 70%, and everybody else will, unless you have a ride challenge or you have an EV credit, then you'll be above 70%. And
which I think
yeah,
the
bro.
biggest thing. I think the biggest thing though that we need to discuss when it comes to that is Uber and Lyft stock on that
We'll talk
channel.
about that. We'll talk about that.
But
We'll talk about that.
yeah, it's quite crazy how the math works out on this. I want to know what you guys think. So make sure you put in the comments.
So which is
your
it? Which is it? Did the driver make 123% or did the driver make only 50%?
The driver made 50%. No matter how you look at it,
No,
the driver made 50% because
no.
in
Driver
any
made
world,
123%, bro. Driver made 123%.
according to Lyft's Common Core math, but according to the real math that we've all learned, the passenger paid 46.72. The driver made 23.28.
Lyft. If the driver made 123% Lyft, it would be like more like $70 Lyft because passenger paid 46.72. You know what I'm saying, Lyft? That's how 123% works. Okay, so
yeah, I like passenger payments after estimated external fees too.
What the
like really? Come on. No, the passenger pay, like they're trying even to screw that up. No, the passenger payment is exactly 46.72, and then if they tipped or anything like that, but
no, there was no tip.
I don't see a tip in there.
No, there was no tip. Yeah, it was
No, that's
straight up.
There's no tip right there, but that's what I'm saying. So the passenger paid 46.72. The passenger payment after external fee? No. That's not how it works, bro. It is a. This is
what did Len say to your tweet? What did Len say to your tweet? He's our professor, Columbia business professor. This guy knows his shit, probably more than Daniel.
Oh, you're gonna make me look it up now.
What did he say? He says, "Well, if you take your external expenses out," he said,
all right,
then you only made like 6%.
Let's also deduct your external fees for gas, cleaning, repairs, insurance, and depreciation. Looks like your take rate comes in around 6%. You're a good sport and a good bargain for Lyft.
I agree.
That's what Len Sherman tweeted.
I agree.
Or X. I don't know, whatever.
Hey, Daniel, your PhD. How does this math look to you? Does it look good to you? Huh?
Common Core, bro.
Come up with this answer. It's smart ass right here, Daniel. How do you look that? 123% of the passenger paid. Huh? Yeah.
Literally, it's called picking and choosing the numbers that you want to highlight and not highlight, and then you're using the averages or anything. That's the problem with it. So I mean, the thing though that I have a big problem with, and I think everybody really should be getting a big problem with, is these hyper inflated external expense fees that they're claiming. They're getting so goddamn bloated.
I told you this.
57 or 8% right here on this screenshot, 64 on another screenshot that I posted. Come on, this is getting out of hand.
What did I tell you the first time we saw this under embargo? I said those two lines are exchangeable. When one is super high, the late take rate or Lyft service fee is going to be low. If one is super low, which is the external fees, the Lyft take rate is going to be super high. That's how everybody's going to get condensed to 70-30. That's how it's going to work out.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's move on. Hey, everybody, you want to be safe behind the wheel. You don't want to get into an accident. You don't want anything like that. You don't want to be driving distracted, so you don't want to be on your phone or anything like that. Yeah. But what about when the app gives you more distractions while you're driving and then emails you about driving distracted?
I got this. It says this was in my app. I tweeted it and it was like people were laughing at it. April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month.
Who's the biggest offender here?
I was like, Uber, honest to Jesus Christ, okay, this is the biggest, stupidest in-app message I received this week. I get a whole bunch every week, but this was the stupidest one. It says, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety, in 2022, an estimated 290,000 people were injured in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. All right. Should we go in now? Should we go in like with both hands on their neck now? Or should we just take it easy now? We're going both hands on our neck. Uber. How about this thing? that called itself Trip Radar, where all shit garbage trips go to die. Okay, because I have like a Pavlov's dog reaction when I hear that noise. You know what I mean? I take my eye off the road. I have to look at it because you're presenting me with this Trip Radar garbage. You know, Chris, there is lately when I do drive on Uber, not Lyft. Lyft's Trip Radar is wonderful. It just pops up on the map. You want it, you take it. You don't want it, no noise, no nothing. This is the biggest bullshit I have ever seen. If Trip Radar is isn't the most unsafe thing they have ever come up with, I don't know what else is.
No.
Now adding insult to injury, Chris, when I do drive in LA, I don't get pings anymore. Everything is presented to me on Trip Radar. I get like 8 out of 10 pings that I get or I see on my app flashes is Trip Radar. So literally they're doing.
You won't get ride requests. You're just going to get Trip Radar
requests. All I'm getting is radar. 80% of shit I'm seeing is radar, right? So what are they doing with that? They're creating FOMO, more distraction, going against their own in-app message. How about this, Uber? How about if the car is traveling at all, not at any speed, my car starts moving, you stop showing me Trip Radar. How about that?
Yeah, you already got that on the phone. But I mean, the other thing is it's not just that. It's when multiple ones show up. So if you're driving and then Trip Radar, there's like 4 requests that are right on that screen you're looking at. You got to scroll and you got to look at them. Yeah. Like you're taking your eyes off the road. Come on. Yeah, I'm with you on that. If the car's moving, Trip Radar should be off.
Like literally, like they give us the driver score. They now they want to check our fitness level and all that shit, right?
Oh,
I mean,
we'll
look, the car's moving. The gyroscope in the phone. My phone is telling you I'm moving at all. Like car starts moving, doesn't have to go 5 miles, 10 miles. Because I do know that if you're going above certain speed, Trip Radar doesn't present itself. Okay, but if you go under a certain speed, it starts popping. That's when accidents happen at 20 miles, 10 miles an hour, Uber. Because I'm looking at it, and then some car pulls in front of me, boom, rear ender.
Or somebody stops short. When you're slowing down, you misjudge, whatever it could be. It could be a lot of different things. But then I think I have to go with the worst offender when it comes to that type of distracted driving would probably be Lyft's auto switch. When you accept a ride and then it auto switches, I think that's probably a worse offender than Trip Radar is. Because
that ended.
If I accept a ride and then I have to turn left and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now you have to turn right and you're in a 5-lane and it's like, fuck yourself, dude. So I'm glad that switches off. So I don't even have to worry about that. Now you just need to get the Trip Radar under control.
No, I know, but
here's the other thing. 10 seconds for a ride request that comes in is not enough.
There you go.
Especially if you're driving, and that's distracted driving right there, because you have to look at it and then 10 seconds. But if you gave me 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, something that's going to be a little safer, and I'm driving, that may give me enough opportunity to pull over and actually look at the ride, make the informed decision if I'm going to take it or not. But I forgot, we talked about the inshitification, and you just want everybody to accept every single ride without question, without looking at it, without judging whether it's profitable or not.
Great idea, Boba. The inshitification on this one, the other thing, okay, what you said is perfectly good, right? 10 seconds is not enough time, even on a ping, let alone Trip Radar. The other thing is on the Lyft app, by the way, that has ended. There's no more switcheroo. You can choose if you want manual accept or not. It'll pop up saying this is the next trip in your queue, at least in my app in California anyway. You have a choice now to toggle on or off. You want to be on auto accept or not. It's their kind of auto accept. So please toggle that off. Don't accept automatic switcheroos. They have given you a choice now, which before, like Chris said, they didn't give you a choice. So Uber, extend the ping at least to Lyft level to 15 seconds to start with. If you don't want me to be driving distracted, and do not show me garbage after garbage where trips go to die on Trip Radar. How about that? That's it. We'll be a lot safer.
So when it came to accidents at intersections, they found the best way to mitigate and reduce the most amount of accidents in traffic stops, or I mean, in traffic intersections, was extend the yellow light by at least 1 more second. It stopped a ridiculous amount of percentage down when it came to car accidents at intersections, a substantial amount. This is kind of the same thing when it comes to the ping request that's coming in. It should not be the 10 seconds. I think 15 seconds is still a little bit, especially if you're driving. You have to pull over and then take a look at the ride. So I'm thinking,
on
20
Uber,
30 seconds
Uber,
for both would be good.
On Uber Eats, I do Uber Eats as well as Uber, right? On Uber Eats, the ping is over 30 seconds. Over 30 seconds. DoorDash, same thing, 45 seconds. Why is it on delivery is 30, 45 seconds, but on rideshare is only 10 seconds? Uber? Why? You can't do it. Obviously, you're doing it on Uber Eats. Just do the same thing here. If you want less distracted driving, stop trip radar. Period. When my car is in any kind of motion. Period. Okay? Yep. And then you send me that. That's like the pot calling the kettle black, Uber. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen from you. So.
All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about our next topic. We've mentioned it a few times already, but it's still out of control, and it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. And this is, more problems when it comes to illegal accounts on DoorDash. Like I said, I saw somebody who put it right in the chat at the very beginning of the show, saying that they were seeing more and more, and it's just insane. So here's a little story, Serge.
This is one of my countrymen, bro. One of my countrymen. I am from Turkey. I was born in Turkey, but I'm Armenian, obviously. So this guy, he's Turkish, okay? A mile or so, okay, crisis in California, a $6,500 cartel ticket and a dream of driving for DoorDash. This is when? April 11th. This is 4 days ago, news. A mile or so up the dirt road, 6 more people stood next to the suitcases and backpacks. They debated walking to where the others were already being processed or continuing to wait for customs and border protection. Everyone in the group was young and traveled from Turkey or Uzbekistan. Okay, I have nothing against legal immigration. This shit is bullshit. Okay, so it's not political. Ugur, his name is Ugur, Ugur, but it's pronounced with a soft G. Ugur paid a cartel $650 to drop him off, $6,500. I'm sorry, at the border, and expected to spend a day or two in custody before flying to Los Angeles. He hopes to live in Santa Monica. I don't fucking live in Santa Monica. Do you know how expensive Santa Monica is, Anyway, contact me, Sergio at therideshareguy.com. If you see this yourself plastered all over, show me the money. He hopes to live in Santa Monica and drive for DoorDash. How, DoorDash? How? The freaking guy just paid the coyote $6,500 to get into the country illegally, but now he's going to do the asylum bullshit and then drive DoorDash to pay for his overpriced apartment in Santa Monica. I'm sure this guy has more money. If he has the $6,500 to pay to the coyotes, I'm sure he's got some good bank account. If U.S. government let me work, I can work, he said, adding that asylum seekers must wait 180 days for work authorization. DoorDash, I don't think this is kosher, DoorDash. You should stop this. Honestly, you should stop this. All food delivery companies are being freaking run by mafia now, who give these Venezuelans, Uzbekis, and these Turks these fake accounts. Why don't you think of your consumer, DoorDash? Unsafe. I don't know who this guy is. He didn't go through a background check. He didn't do shit. Anyway, a DoorDash spokesperson told the Post they have a rigorous multi-layered identity verification system, but acknowledged that it might not be 100% effective. No shit.
Yeah, definitely
really?
Not.
What the
0% of fraud detection.
Yeah, man. And then last September, New York Post, which does a good job on this, reported that migrants in New York City were delivering food for app companies, including DoorDash. No shit. Half of them are illegal accounts, bro. And DoorDash goes, well, who else is going to take my $2 no tip trash order? These people. I'm like, yeah, let's just fucking let it happen. I am so pissed off about this. It's not even funny, bro. But he
Yeah,
goes, yeah, he gonna hustle his ass, Dion. But you know, he shouldn't be hustling nothing. He's illegal. Well, asylum,
Mhm.
you know, let have his paperwork. Look, listen, just like my, you know, like become a citizen or get your green card, get your shit together, and then go do DoorDash, go do Grubhub, whatever the heck you're gonna do. I have no problem. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about an unfortunate story that happened very recently in Clark County.
Okay, we're not going to show you the video. This was major news. You know, we talked about this, Chris, right? Remember mules? We being mules or Uber, what is it called? Uber Connect for packages.
Yep.
All right. And we even talked about this specific scam. I remember it like today. It was maybe 6 months ago, right? There are people who are calling elderly people saying that, you know, we took your daughter hostage.
It's a lot of different scams. I mean, it could be the grandparent scam. It could be several different ones. It could be a fake iPhone. It could be so many different types of scams. And basically, what happens is they try to get you confused. They try to get confused people. Not always. They're trying to get very quick you to do something right here, right now. It's a very unfortunate thing. It costs U.S. taxpayers billions of dollars a year, and it's all these fake scam call centers. And yeah, this person unfortunately decided to end the life of an Uber driver. And I mean, luckily, they're getting charged with murder charge. And you know, it's a very unfortunate story, and it's like that person had nothing to do with the scam. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you know,
Well, would they look? You know what?
These people are using. No, I was going to say, unfortunately, these people are using Uber Connect in order to get the money from point A to point B. So they're having them come pick up the money at either the house, or they drop it to a location, and then they bring it to the next leg of the journey. When it comes to Uber Connect, and it's just a way for these people. I mean, you could be carrying, you know, $100,000 in your car, and you have no idea in a package. You could have 60,000. You could have 40,000. You could have 12,000. You have no idea. And I mean, the easiest thing to do is if you see somebody who seems flustered or whatever it might be, you know, those are the times where you got to say, hey, look, what's going on? Try to interject if you're taking Uber Connect. Because yeah, you could be taking somebody's hard-earned money and delivering it to the scum of the earth, essentially.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in this case, look, a lot of people emailed me, and I know they're going to now. They're going to say, "Well, why is this Uber's fault? If this lady wasn't doing Uber Connect, would she be dead?" People, let's have some common sense here, man. I mean, you can't just say everything is not Uber's fault, not Uber's fault. I'm not saying it's 100% Uber's fault, but she's delivering something for a scammer from an 81-year-old man who probably was half-ass senile, goes in his house. She has no clue that these guys living through a scam, okay? And she says, "Where is the package?" And the guy comes out with a gun and shoots her ass, the driver's ass, thinking she is part of the scam as well. He's getting blackmailed, right? I mean, where does this end? Where does this end? Why? Why is 61-year-old old lady? I mean, the video was there. I watched it. It was like horrifying, bro. She's fighting for her life, and the guy put one more in the chest while she was in the car. And I'm going like, what kind of bullshit is this? Like shitification, like Cory said, sucking every goddamn dollar out of everything, man. You know? And then this is when I tweeted it. This needs to change. There has to be law, just like in Washington, Seattle, Washington State. Period 1, period 2, period 3. There has to be family compensation when somebody is killed, not just when we're driving somebody. And they just passed that law in Seattle, Washington. It has to be part of every legislation. Whatever companies I'm on the app, that company has to take care of this family. This lady is dead, 61 years old. 81-year-old is going to jail for life, whatever he's got left. Where does this end? But there has to be some compensation for the family from Uber. And I should hope to God families, you know, the driver's family sues them for $1 billion. So there you go.
Yeah, it's very sad, unfortunate circumstance of what's going on. And one of the things I would suggest, if you have family, if you have friends, if you have people who are easily manipulated or anything like that, have them check out my other channel, Scammer Jammer. We call scammers and screw around with them, but it also shows the setup of the scam. It also shows how disgusting they really are as human beings, because you can say and do practically anything and get them to do a lot of different things, and they only have one focus on mind, and that is trying to get the money. And it's absolutely appalling, disgusting, and they're horrible human beings. And there's a huge operation throughout the United States with using Airbnb to drop off the money, or send the money there, and then they forward it to the money mules that will forward it to the Bitcoin, which will send it to India. There's or Jamaica, or a couple of these different places. It's a very intricate system that's in place, and now they're starting to use Uber Connect. So this is something where you got to be careful for that, just for that purpose, because you could be in the middle of a scam and not realize it.
And you know what? I'll tell you. I mean, again, Cory said it, man. Squeezing every dollar out of every possible transaction, and I'm like,
and not giving a shit.
Society is messed up as it is. Crime can find you anywhere, but this lady wasn't on the app trying to deliver a package. She wouldn't be dead. I mean, there you go. That's all there's to it. Like, what else is there to say? Yeah. So anyway, So another sad story. One more sad. Are we doing the one more sad story?
We can talk about it like for a second, but we can't show it because you got the wrong picture.
The bloody picture. Okay, so anyway, there was a New York driver, a bunch of TikTokers, thugs in New York. He went to pick somebody up, thought they were the passenger, said, "Are you guys my passenger?" 7 of them beat the crap living lights out of this guy, bloodied, broke his nose, and gash on top of his head. 7 of them against 1. And and then that's when I tweeted, because that's when I see these things first. I go like, and then Uber and Lyft are going like, "Oh, we're not going to pay you minimum wage in Minneapolis." Uber and Lyft, this is not a goddamn minimum wage job. We don't want minimum wage. We really don't want minimum wage. We want like 50-80% more than minimum wage just to make the risks even. With the hocus pocus, active hours, utilization rate, all this bullshit you guys throw. This is not a $15 an hour job, driving people around and picking up mule packages.
That's the other thing. It's not a 15 an hour job, because you are guaranteed to make less than minimum wage at that point, because I could go and flip burgers for the minimum wage, but being a driver, you still have all of your costs associated with driving that aren't being accounted for at that point. So it has to be over that. I would say 50%. I would say 50% just to make sure that you're covering your costs to still get paid that minimum wage. Now we have to extend it further, because it's definitely more than just a minimum wage job. Yeah.
You guys are going to learn on Monday something called risk premium on the other channel. You have to have a risk premium in everything you do. So on this one, it's not worth it. Then they go like, "Oh, we're not going to pay minimum wage." Like, I buzz off. Anyway. So.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about something that is a little bit more lighthearted, I guess you could say.
Is it?
But not really. I mean, we did allude to this already, and that was Uber is trying to get even more information. So this pops up. So would you like access to your motion fitness activity? This provides better ETAs and more accurate routing in destinations like apartments. Don't allow.
Why?
100% don't allow.
Is this real? Really? Is this happening?
Yeah, I got it on my app.
This is from you? What the F?
No,
Uber, my fat ass is going to walk up the apartment to deliver the burrito as fast as I please. Period.
Well, look, they're trying to get too much information, but the thing with Apple is there's a lot of stuff that you can turn off that Uber is too bad with. When it comes to Android, they don't have the same permission in place and the same lockdown in place as Apple. So Apple sandboxes their apps. So each time you open up an app on the phone, it's really like opening a sandbox. So the app is kind of its own, even though it can get access to certain things, so it can get passed through. But it's a lot harder to get certain information on an iPhone than it is on an Android. just because of it's more locked down. So if you are, seeing something like this, you don't have to hit allow. You can hit don't allow. If you want to turn off a lot of the permissions or see the permissions of the app, you just got to go into the settings, go into permissions, go to the app, and then you'll be able to see what that is. When it comes to iPhone, when it comes to Android, I have no idea. Good luck.
This is a good question. I don't know. Do you know the answer to this? Are they looking at motion activity? Because some people possibly, I don't know. This is most likely for, how's this about ETAs, bro? Is it? I'm not even sure. It's got to be like about Uber Eats or some shit.
I don't know. It's essentially, it's just them trying to get more on the app than what they're allowed to. So yeah, there's a lot of things there. Yeah. Like the stuff that they come up with, like this provides ETAs for more accurate routing to destinations like apartments. Like, what would you need to know that for? Because it's going to get your motion and fitness activity no matter what, whether you're on the app or not. It's not just during that time that you're on the app. It's going to be your entirety data point when it comes to your motion and fitness. So they'll be able to see pretty much everything.
Okay, well, we'll make a note of that, Jeff. We will get rid of that for you. Which statement? Okay, anyway, so all I know is this is bullshit. So what if you don't allow it, they're not gonna let you on the app, right?
No, I hit don't allow.
Oh, it let you on the app? Because I see the required actions there. Maybe it's connected. I was thinking.
No, it says probably allow location access is probably like your actual location. They probably denied that. I don't know. This picture I came across like an hour or two after it popped up on my phone because I didn't screenshot it. I wasn't thinking about it. But yeah, it came up. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was maybe like early last week or something, or late last week.
Yeah, I agree with driving in style on this one. Yeah, we take everything too seriously. There's more important things like that. The poor lady died.
Look, they don't need to know my shit. They don't need to know what's going on in my phone. My phone is my phone, and what goes on in my shit is my shit. Nobody else's.
Yeah,
that's where I have the problem. And the problem is, if you're saying, oh, you're probably going in too much. Look, I'm all for privacy. I'd rather have more privacy. The fact that we just give our privacy so freely at this point. And there's so many data leaks and so much problems. Go to Uber and see how many accounts are on your account. You might have 3, you might have 4 at this point now. Who freaking knows? And then you're going to be deactivated like Gabe was. So these problems exist, and we just give out our information way too much. And you got to be a little bit more on the ball when it comes to protecting your data, protecting your privacy, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, look, we're giving up everything voluntarily.
You do not need motion fitness on map apps. You don't. None of them. I don't know, like 6 different ones.
When they say, my English may not be that good. Hold on a second. When they say fitness activity, what do they mean? Like, am I in good shape? Is that what they mean?
Well, like your fitness, like your health app, like your steps.
No, go fuck yourself. Then what does that mean, bro? That doesn't mean shit. What? You don't need to know my fitness. Shut up.
They don't need to know that. They don't need to know a lot of that.
Every Uber Lyft driver is overweight, pretty much, because we sit in our car and drive your people for $3. Shut up. No, that's what I'm like. No, next one. Bullshit. Whatever.
Yeah. So it's a problem. Just hit deny on all these things, not just on Uber, but in other locations as well too. If you see these pop up, Apple does this for a particular reason. So you are a little bit more in control in the data that you share with these apps. If you don't want them shared, go through and stop it. So I suggest, at least iPhone, go through your permissions and see what apps have what permissions and access to your phone that you may not realize that you've given permission to. So check it out.
All right. William says he's killing it. Congrats.
Nice.
Enjoy it while it lasts. I did it last week, which was great. Okay, so we have a couple of funnies, fakes. Okay, these are pretty similar, Chris. So on Saturday, I was picking up my daughter at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA, and I said to her, "Okay, I'm gonna stop in the bathroom real quick, because I have a long trip back home." She goes, yeah, I'll let you in, and the security guard knows me. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll pull some strings instead of pissing in our pants. We go piss in the hospital. That wasn't the point. Right in front of the bathroom, I saw one of these things. I don't know what that thing is on top. Is this like a toilet cleaner or something? It's definitely not a nurse. Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a robot on charge right there. See, it's plugged in. It's getting charged.
I don't know.
And it has that like a rotor-rooter thing on its arm. It's like that rotor-rooter thing. It must be the toilet cleaner. So they're getting rid of janitors and
that's the one that gives the prostates. All right, cool. That's the one that gives the prostate exams.
No, bro. I sure hope not. I sure hope you're wrong on that.
Honestly, I have no idea what that is, but it's one of those things.
That's a rotor-rooter, bro. What the hell are you talking about? Shit. No, and similarly,
why is it not called Rosie? Why is it called Moxie and not Rosie?
Come on, bro. I'm breaking all kinds of shit here today. Moxie. Yeah, it's Moxie. The name of the robot is Moxie. And another robot that took the wrong turn, obviously, and ended up in a construction zone. Good old Waymo. You know Waymo, by the way, it started charging in LA now. I'm gonna take a paid trip and I'm gonna put out my receipt. Let's see how much more overpriced it is than an actual Uber. I'll bet you anything it's gonna be more expensive than an Uber. Okay, so
Rosie Palm's nice, but no, Rosie was the robot from the Jetsons.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. All I know is that thing is replacing janitors across the U.S. now. Poor janitors, you know what I mean? So perhaps the robot is
you know what? I think people need to realize don't go to college because your shit's going to be taken out by AI or at a bad job. They're going to do a bad job doing it because they're not qualified to be able. AI is not qualified to do it, but some moron boss is thinking, oh, it's going to be. So the reality is, go to a trade.
Yeah,
you'll make a lot more money,
or learn how to trade. Ginger,
or learn how to trade.
Oh, come on, Ginger. No, man. No. Why couldn't it be for the ladies' room? That thing is like, rotor-rooting the toilet. I mean,
I know it's called Moxie. I mean, we could go Maxie.
Maxie, yeah. We don't want to go there, but we could. But that's okay. So anyway, the next one, and we're done.
That was it.
Yeah, I did put up fakes today. I got so many more fakes, Chris. So many more fakes. I was like, we're not quitting that Uber and Lyft. Next week, we'll be right back for the next umpteen shows with our fakes.
I think we'll just do like a bunch of them at one time.
Oh, yeah. 3 at a time? Okay, cool.
Something like that.
I'm good. And then we stop doing it for a couple of weeks, and then we do 3. Okay, cool. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's guest.
Use your trade to fund and learn how to trade. Boom.
Exactly. There you go.
That's
Boom.
a good one.
We're gonna try our best. And look, man, honestly, I'm really excited about that channel. But before, Cory, thank you. Amazing guest. We usually don't keep our guests for an hour. I just was like, okay. He said I have an hour, and we go, okay, we'll go fast on our shit. I thought he was an amazing guest. I mean, he hasn't nailed down. All his info is in the show notes. New YouTube channel, me and Chris. My name at Sergio Avidian in the show notes. My Twitter handle, his Twitter handle in the show notes. What else? Everything is in there.
Yep. And if you want to check out my channels, Scammer Jammer or my other channel,
also on the show notes as well. And Monday is our first live stream of Power Hour, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Come on over. You guys will learn a few things.
Well, first live, but there's already videos out and coming out. So
yeah, videos coming out. Boss is on me. He wants videos nonstop, and I'm like, yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
So what do we need to do? Get 1,000 subs? Look, 1,000 of you just go sub. Get us over the hump. What's the big deal? Even if you're not going to watch it, just go sub. Go sub and listen in the car. You know what? Listen. You've seen my mug long enough. Listen and learn. It's going to be great. I'm really excited about the new channel. So there you go.
Yep. And hopefully we'll be able to build a little bit of a nest egg there where, in the event that something happens, maybe 3 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and you can't drive for Uber or Lyft anymore, and that was what you put all your eggs in the basket, maybe it softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about Uber and Lyft stock. No, man, this is
We're
not my
seething
seething with
today.
anger. You should see me when I'm really angry. You must be new on this channel. Welcome. Go sub to the new channel.
I wouldn't. No. He's not seething. He's not angry. He's passionate.
Yeah, you want to see me angry? You want to see me angry on a losing trade? Then you'll see me angry because angry at myself, nothing else, not to the world or anything like that. You know, it was a lot of people go, "Oh, look how much money I made." I'm like, bro, it's all about wins and losses, how you take it, and stay level-headed and be like that robot, Roxy.
Maxi.
Oh,
Moxie.
Well,
Well,
be like a robot.
Hey,
I'm like a robot
because there's no more crews, now we got to start posting the Waymo craziness, and then hopefully we'll get Waymo
Cruise is coming back.
We'll get Waymo off the map for a little while, and then that
Cruise
way we don't have to worry about these crappy self-driving cars.
Okay, Cruise is coming back. I hear Cruise is coming back. So, but at least your favorite guy is gone. So,
yeah.
Let's see. Anyway, so much love. Please push the thumbs up. You know, boss says
a good like
it. Go to the new channel. There's a couple of videos already. There's one. When is the next one coming up?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Wait, no, yeah, tomorrow.
Thursday. Okay, tomorrow.
So
Thursday. Thumbs up on that one. Subscribe and turn on notifications here. Turn on notifications there. And we love you. Be safe.
Also, the other thing, don't forget, if you speak Spanish or just want to see us talking in Spanish, head over to RSG in Espanol, where we have a Spanish channel now for those, because there's a lot of drivers out there who do speak Spanish and don't necessarily speak English, or it's not well, so they may not comprehend and understand everything. So yeah, go check out RSG in Espanol. Not only that, we also have the newsletter that you can sign up for as well. Links are all in the description for everything we talked about. With that being said, thank you guys for hanging out, having a good time. Drive smart, be safe, and we will see you guys next week.
Be safe. Please be
safe. Style, you'll have to go see it.
Please be safe. Bye now.